Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes on St. George's Day. We are here on Share Talk and sponsored by the UK Investor Show. Starting off with Canadian Overseas, where there's another chance for the bulls to get excited, breaking that triangle from the beginning of March through the 20-day line just under 0.05 pence and heading hopefully towards a retest of early March resistance through 0.1 pence. Best case scenario target at the moment, which seems rather a long way away, is January line of resistance heading to 0.16 pence. Quite a lot of fireworks for the next stock, which is European Metals. Actually spiked up towards the 200-day moving average at 16 pence. That's the second time we've hit that area. Actually, probably third time if you'd count the initial January resistance for the shares. Obviously, everything here will depend on an end-of-day close or a weekly close above 16 pence. That could then take us up to the projected target at the top of a broadening triangle from last summer at 26 pence. Ideally, there's no break back below the 50-day line at 11.7 pence ahead of such a move. On to Eco Atlantic, and here I suppose there's a point here to remember. For some reason, even though I think the last time I looked at crude oil it was at $16, the market seems to have decided that that is not a problem at all, and everything will go back to normal as far as travel and transport, etc. is concerned. So here we have Eco breaking that line of resistance from February at 17 pence, also the area of the 20-day line, the purple line there. The view at this stage is at least an end-of-day close above 20 pence. Recent April resistance could be enough to take the shares back up towards 45 pence. Again, that seems a long way away, but that is the best case scenario charting target. Otherwise, probably just hitting the 50-day line and coming back after that. New stock for the Bulletin Board Heroes, at least in the near term, is Jstone Energy, breaking that line of resistance from February around 40 pence. And the view here is while we're above the floor of the gap at 38 pence, looking for the shares to fill that gap from March up towards the upper 50s or up to 60 pence as a best case scenario over the next few weeks. Been following Jubilee Metals over recent days and just waiting to see whether the stock can break the 50-day moving average. That's around the 3 pence level. If we can do that on a weekly close basis, looking for a retest of 3.6, which was early March resistance. On to Katoro, which covered a while back, and I think interviewed the company as well. Just looks like it's breaking this near-term triangle from mid-March around 1.7 pence. Above that on an end-of-day or end-of-week close basis could take the shares back up to 3 pence, retracing a decent part of the loss from that February peak, just shy of 5 pence for the shares. This stage only back below the 200-day line, 1.35 pence, really upsetting the recovery argument. Totally new stock for the Bulletin Board Heroes today comes in the form of Loungers, a company I've never heard of before, which is quite an achievement. Here it looks as though we're breaking out of this falling wedge from March. We've gapped up through the wedge, which is normally a positive as well. So end of day close above the current levels around 90 pence should be enough to at least give us a retest of the £1.10 to £1.20 area, which is the area just below the March gap to the downside. Obviously a rather horrific move there. Back below 80 pence, though, I suppose kills the idea of recovery, but even though we've got a very good example of bullish divergence there in the RSI window. I backed off from looking at Novocyte over recent days once the shares fell back below 420 to 450, which was my likely support area or my initial support area for the shares. I thought that this looked rather hairy. It turned out to be that case. We went down towards 273, which was yesterday the level of the 20-day moving average. Currently in a range between the 20-day line at 289 and 400 pence. And the trick here really is to wait for a break of 400 pence, ideally on an end-of-day close basis. I think there'll be quite a lot of faking out of a break of that area. It's basically the right-hand shoulder of the of the formation that we have there, but at least through £4, the upside here now up to that line of resistance from January towards £7. But obviously we have to make sure that we don't break back below that 20-day moving average. New name in the near term is Oriole Resources, where we've broken this line of resistance from January and the 50-day moving average at 0.3 pence roughly. While we're above that, looking for a best case scenario target at the top of a rising trend channel from November as high as 0.8 pence. If you are a bit skeptical of that target, maybe wait for a weekly close above the 200-day moving average, currently at around the 0.36 pence level. That should do the trick in terms of changing the trend here from bear to bull. Onto a stock which I covered a while back when it was much lower. Didn't actually expect or believe that it would do as well as it has, but I think it was around the lower the lower teens there, 0.12, 0.13, something like that. Broke that mid-March peak, 0.16, and hasn't really looked back since. We've got the 20-day moving average at 0.2 pence as the stop loss. Beautiful sort of a cup-shaped rebound, almost a cup and handle type move here, and it looks as though the stock should easily get up to 0.5 pence, perhaps more, especially while we remain above the initial April resistance at 0.26, but probably need to allow down to 0.2 pence on that situation. Tertiary minerals, the last stock of the day, has been rather frustrating, but it looks as though finally we'll see the shares either today or tomorrow deliver end of day or end of week close above 0.3 pence, which should also be above the rising 50-day moving average. Closes above the rising 50-day line tend to be buy signals in their own right, and that would be enough, hopefully, then to get the shares back towards 0.5 pence plus, which its ardent fans have been pushing for a number of weeks. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.